Hey, welcome to Liquid Lunch. It's Monday. It's me, Hugh. It's Monday, the November 28th, and it's me and Dan here on the show today.
Daniel without his posture, and I just improved it a little
See?
bit now.
You see? There you go,
Okay?
Dan. Yeah,
Tuck my chin,
it's looking good.
Shoulders back, lift up the chest. A little bit of yoga, folks. There. How's that?
Yoga will
Still
do
looks
it.
Stiff
And we
as
should...
all heck, but there we go.
You didn't even wet your hair down, Dan.
No, I
And
didn't.
you don't need to. You're blessed.
Yes, I'm blessed.
Okay.
I got a show coming up on Wednesday, and I don't have the whole guest thing, but hopefully it'll work out.
That's right. Your show, the Downtown with Daniel Katz.
That's it. Lauren Stein, the improv queen, will be there.
She's coming?
So stay tuned to that.
And that's this Wednesday evening at 7 o'clock,
That's right.
I believe.
Didn't mean to promote my show.
Well, you might as well. You might as well, Dan. And we should just tell people we've got Enoch Kent here on the show today. Enoch is actually sitting right beside us right now. Let's just... There he is. See, that's what you look like on TV, Enoch.
I'm a little taller.
Yeah. Well, it's all relative.
Oh.
You know?
Well, the TV's about 8 feet up in the wall.
Well, that one over there, yeah. Yeah. So we're... now, this is not the official Enoch Kent interview yet.
No,
we're going
no.
to take a little break before
That's
we
right.
do that. But so we're just really just chatting, Daniel. But
Yeah,
you seem to have... You always have a different fixation. First it was the watches. Now it's Lady Gaga for some reason.
The watches are still there.
I know.
I put
Not
a down
until you
payment
get
on
your... did you?
that. Not that it does anything. It's just something one admires, I suppose. But today is Lady Gaga.
What do you mean? Yeah,
Day.
what's with
Lady Gaga. What happened was, I don't follow much of mainstream music,
Right.
but a year ago or so, this girl named Maria Agron, or whatever her name is, a 10-year-old,
Okay.
sang one of the popular songs by Lady Gaga.
Uh-huh.
And it became such a moving performance, according to Lady Gaga, who streamed through her fan mail and saw her perform on YouTube or whatever, this young girl from Alberta, and invited her to her concert to perform with her for a couple of songs. I
Okay.
thought that was very cool to invite this Canadian-Filipino girl Canadian, parents from the Philippines, to perform with her.
Mhm.
And now she has a record out from the
Of her
Philippines of her own, this 10-year-old.
Yeah.
Lady Gaga also supported a video, championed this anti-bully movement. Maybe specifically towards the gay community, and she did a video for this high school out in Mississauga, and talked to them through Skype or through this video or something like that. So I thought that was kind of cool. I was trying to check out her music. Who's this Lady Gaga? And it's just someone that just shot up from struggling artist in a couple of years, basically.
Lady Gaga.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Doing this this outrageous costuming and performing, and maybe that's the way of music today. I don't know.
That's an
I just
interesting-
can't make out a lot of her stuff. It's got very good timing, and some of the songs I have to admit I do like.
I like
but
the
it
Poker
is
Face.
mainstream.
Poker Face I like. I like that song.
You do?
I do like it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's probably the only one I really like. by
Yeah.
her. My Poker Face?
Yeah. So that's the one song that you do like, and there's your Poker Face right there. Okay. Just like
I got
that-
nothing.
Just like that guy out of.
Right.
So what do you think? I mean, I don't know why I'm fixated with her. I'm just surprised about some people are so struggle
Well,
with themselves. And
well,
they-
maybe Enoch can weigh in on this.
Okay.
I would really hate. I'd hate to come home as a married man to Lady Gaga.
You mean on the stereo or in
no,
the bed?
just as a wife. Can you imagine coming home to Lady Gaga after a hard day's work? For God's sake.
Why would that be not good?
Because it's crazy. It's nothing to do with life.
What? Her
My
music?
life, anyway.
She wouldn't be home. She would be busy performing. You wouldn't even see her
See,
if she was your
you're
wife.
fantasizing again. You're weighing in my fantasy. That's never going to happen, by the way. I've been married for 53 years. That's
yeah.
going great.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Okay, so right, like, who cares?
No, I'm listening to you. I'm listening to you. What do you think of her? You don't like
Lady-
only one song of hers, but that's still something, I guess.
I find it curious too that she's so popular. How does one person go from being Like it makes you think. Is she just a regular person, a regular member of the public who, for some reason, music was good enough that she became this huge star?
Well,
No.
let me give you my take on this, okay?
Okay.
Even though I don't have the perfect answer.
Yeah.
Because I looked up some of this stuff on the internet. Not that you can trust any of that, Enoch. But anyways, you have a young lady that went through high school, the Upper West Side.
Yeah.
Just a sister. The parents had to support the two sisters that lived in the Upper West Side. Very, very expensive area. Went to private school.
I looked at some of the same
Okay.
websites, Dan.
All right.
For some reason, why did I look up Lady Gaga too? I don't know.
Anyways, she went to the Tisch School of Music, which is not a cheap school to go to.
Yeah.
Is Tisch part of NYU?
I don't know.
But anyways, she went there, lasted a year, and then she decided to start her music career.
Yeah.
Moved in or worked with a young lady young girl, 19 years of age, who a producer brought together. Lady Gaga and this other girl. Her name was Germanatia or something. Anyways, the young lady who eventually committed suicide was the singer who did these outrageous costumes. Lady Gaga adopted those costumes.
See, that's what happens if you come home to Lady Gaga.
Yeah.
You kill yourself.
I don't know. But the thing is, there were other performers in the past that did the outrageous costume thing. There was Elton John. There was the guy that played the piano, the gay chap with the chandeliers.
Elton John?
No, this is before Elton John.
Liberace.
Liberace.
Before that, there was Mae West.
Maybe. And maybe even before that, Marlene Dietrich to a certain extent in the 30s.
Yeah.
And they all had tremendous following because they were catering to people's emotions in different ways. So maybe she does have talent, and she sings and she plays the piano, and she doesn't lip sing. And I guess to a lot of people that means she's real, and she's catered to a kind of a massive audience that needs something emotionally, and the timing is just right for this kind of iconoclastic, normal performing
Larger
arts.
than life. It's larger than life. It works on a big stage. That big costume, the big show. It's the big show. But
it's showing that she's not, again, going against convention. But this has been around over and over again. But this is a kind of overdone version
you
of
have
going
to
against
be,
convention.
well, it's pushing the envelope. You
Yeah.
know, that's how you get
I
noticed.
have an idea for you next time you're watching Lady Gaga. The reason that Mae West was so popular because people were going through a depression.
Yeah.
And so she was even bigger than Hollywood. She was the biggest thing going. Lady Gaga is doing very well right now as we are going through a depression.
Right. It is. It is a depression
So
right
it's
now.
something
in a way,
to
yeah.
do with life itself that Lady Gaga is doing okay. And plus, she's very well produced.
Yeah, very well produced.
Yeah.
Enoch, you know, because you're a musician, and we're going to play one of your tracks in a minute, and we're going to come back with the official interview. But,
Official?
yeah, the official one.
Oh,
But
boy.
you talk about she's very well produced. It's because, like, part of me thinks it's like somebody put some money behind her. Somebody said, you know what, we're going to. It's not just her. It's a team of people.
Of course, yeah.
A team of people
Yeah.
that are very well connected.
Yeah.
That can that'll spend a lot of money on her videos. That will make sure that she gets airplay.
Sure.
And all that kind of stuff.
And,
But it makes you wonder, you know, where does that, what are the real, now this may sound a little paranoid, but what are the real objectives of that team and that money?
To make her what she is today.
Yeah.
Right.
Is it just to make money? Or is
I
it
would
to do
assume
something else?
so.
Now, yeah.
I don't know why I assume that.
Well, because,
Maybe because she is making.
no, have you heard those conspiracy theories about how,
I think it's simpler than that, though.
what?
With
okay.
her. I think it's simpler than that. I don't think in this case, like, it's very easy to be a little bit, and there's a little bit of me that's envious, and it's nothing against her at all. Good for her. Kudos to her. I just don't follow mainstream. I, like you, like one or two of her songs. I find some of her lyrics maybe a little on the simple side, but she is catering to a big audience. And it's like Stephen King can write a Salman Rushdie novel, but if it ain't broke, don't fix it. He's working on what he's done, and he's got a fan base that really are devoted to his writing. And it's not easy writing that he does. Her work is not easy work, but it's catering to a bigger audience. And she is. It's part of that whole social networking. She participates on top of her team herself. She's quite a marketing whiz at the social networking, and she's like the guy that has his own little store and really works 24 hours a day. She's working it and in contact with her fans, I suppose. And it's this like LinkedIn, Facebook, and all these people. That when you interview the guy that started Facebook, the young guy, they don't think in terms of the money. They're just so into this social networking into a whole mass of people on a one-on-one basis. They really truly believe.
Yeah.
And there's the negative side, but they're saying, no, we're actually doing this for the good side. The money just happened to roll in.
Yeah, I'm sure
So
he didn't
that's what
plan
they're
he was
saying.
going to be a multi-billionaire.
And
when
she
he
says it's for the love of her music, not for the money rolling in. It happens to roll in. Now, I'm not all on her side. I'm just saying, I guess that's what's happened. It's just steamrolled, and it's something that's bigger than life itself. This cause, and when the cause goes, then it goes viral, and everyone is into it because maybe there is something good with some of this stuff, and of course there could be something bad. It has to be harnessed, I suppose.
Enoch, any final comments in this unofficial part?
I've seen her once, and so that's not good enough. But it was a fantastic TV show. She lifted the front of a truck, which turned into a piano, and she played the piano.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
And there was smoke coming out from everywhere.
I think I saw a bit of that too.
And I thought to myself, this is rubbish, but I can't stop watching.
Okay. Well, listen, Lady Gaga isn't the only musical performer that we're going to be talking about today, because Enoch
Yes.
is also.
Yeah.
And in fact, you're up for the Canadian folk. What is it? The
Canadian Folk Music Awards, and I'm up for Traditional Singer of the Year.
All
and
right.
I hope I don't win it.
Well, yeah, because I know you love your life in obscurity, right?
Well, I like part of it, but I won it once and I'm still obscure. So but I think there's a lot of very young guys and women up for it, and I think I've won it once, and that's fine. So I can say I'm a winner, and I think one of them should. They're an interesting group, very different in their approach, but because we are quote traditional or singers, we sing songs that have stories in them, whereas Lady Gaga doesn't, so to speak. She doesn't sing songs with stories in them. Lady Gaga, it's all polish.
Yeah.
And that's fine. She's good at it.
Yeah.
And these guys are really good at what they do too. And I hope it's going to be great. I'm going to go to as many events as I can. There's quite a few. I'm going to tell you about them.
But this is folk singing, right?
Yeah, no.
And folk singing is is the star of storytelling in a way, isn't it?
Folk singing has become a folk music business, and as soon as something becomes a business, you have to look, why does it become a business? When I was very young, I sang with my dad. He played the concertina, and we lived in 2 rooms in a tenement. So my dad would play the concertina. We'd jump up on a kitchen sink a bit like this, and after the dishes were washed, we'd close this curtain, you see. And my dad would say, "Ladies and gentlemen, presenting Enoch Kent," and I'd open the drape and I'd sing to my audience, which was my mother, who was sitting knitting, as I was being very. And I didn't know there were folk songs. I don't think he did either. He played in a concertina band. They were old songs, and he didn't differentiate between folk or anything else he played. He played light opera tunes. I can remember him playing the selection from Poet and Peasant, and then he'd turn to me and I'd learn songs from "I'll sing these songs of Araby and sails of great Kashmir." I didn't know what I was singing. Absolutely didn't know a thing. But when it came to folk music, I knew exactly what I was singing, because it was either a story that interested me or it's a story that happened in the town where I lived. There's songs about Glasgow. And I knew when I heard a young man from Aberdeen sing a song called Bleacher Lassie or Kelvin Hall, I was in a hall with my mum, listening to him and his granny and other Highland singers. They were from the Highlands of Scotland. Some of them spoke Gaelic, some spoke English, and sang in those two languages. He was singing about a part of Glasgow, which was only 200 yards from where the hall was I'm sitting in. And I'd walked up and down the Brumalon when I was a kid, but there was a history to the Brumalon I didn't know that comes out in this song. So I was enlightened as well as entertained. That's what I miss about some of the pop singers. I'm not picking on Lady Gaga. She can do what the hell she wants.
I brought her up. So.
She doesn't bother me, and I don't bother her. We're going on great.
Yeah.
And but if someone says that they are a folk singer, then become slightly popish in my estimation. They sing songs that are shallow. Then let them go on with it. I don't have anything to do with that. I'm not going to do it. I don't sing songs about my personal life. I wrote one song about my wife, and it was a fantasy, and she loved it. And I used a phrase that she wasn't too fond of, because I wrote it to a tune that was green eyes, and she's got blue eyes, but it's okay. You got a question?
But isn't it kind of it's not isn't it not quite cut and dry as that? I hear where you're coming from, because you'll have Leonard Cohen, who wrote poems that were they'll last forever. They're not temporary. They're classical now. And then all of a sudden the songs come out.
Excuse me, why are they classical?
Well, forgive me. I'm not the PhD on this, but it seems to like they have a lasting effect. You never get tired of the song.
Why have they lasted?
Pardon me?
Why have they lasted?
There is something in the lyrics that pertain to people can relate to. Everyone.
That's true.
But
my opinion, I think he's more of a poet than a folk singer. I think Bob Dylan's a very good poet too.
Yeah.
I put Bob Dylan on the stage for the first time in London. I was singing in a club.
Yeah.
I was told about this young guy in the audience. Up he came, and he sang a song that he'd written called the John Birch Society Blues.
Yeah.
Which was about a right-wing group in the States. And I thought, this is great. This is not another college singer from the USA. This guy's real. And he was.
Yeah.
But he decided, without hurting me and improving his life, and he did what he wanted to do. He became a poet.
Yeah.
There are people who do that, and that's fine. Go ahead. That's not my folk singing, though.
Right.
My folk singing is something to do with you, because you'll understand the story if I sang a song, and I will in a few minutes if I get coaxed into it. Yeah. And you'll know the story. Mm-hmm. I can introduce it, but even if I didn't introduce it, you would know the story. Mm-hmm. And it would be something to do with today, to your wife, his wife. I'm particularly interested in women in folk songs and how they've been treated. See, the men wrote most of the songs, the men did most of the drinking, and they went out. Yeah. Women stayed home. Yeah. But some of the songs that were written by women, obviously written by women, excellent. Some of the songs that were written by men that were supposed to be written by women turned into music hall songs, because many of them were ridiculing women.
Yeah, yeah.
So all of that is part of I've got a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, Enoch. Okay, yeah. I feel like this interview is totally out of control.
Okay.
Now we're into the official interview, and we haven't even played any of your music. You just mentioned the women in folk. We've got some video lined up. Let's watch this. We're going to come back and continue chatting with Enoch. Okay. We'll find out more about what he means about the story and folk singing and the Canadian Folk Music Awards. So let's watch this right now, and we'll be back with Enoch Kent as Liquid Lunch continues on a Monday. We'll be right back.
I know who I love, but the dear knows who I'll marry. So the folks that are here have already gone through the test at the door. You get a sheet of paper, a set of descriptions of songs, quite lurid. They could have been written by someone who works for a National Enquirer or so. Gaudy. And there's a raffle ticket. You take off half the raffle ticket, like that, and they put it in the box. And if you get your number called, you tell me which song is the description that you like on this sheet of paper that you've got. So you'll get that at home. I'm not doing it again. That's it. That's your last chance.
We got it.
You got it? Okay. I'm just going to read the last 3 numbers. And the lucky winner tonight is, so far, 971.
I would love us to start with some sex, some Irish sex, a description of sex in a Dublin park.
I know him. He's from Ireland. A description of sex is good enough. You know. In Dublin, and that man I like very much, a great writer and monologuist, is Jonathan Lynn. Now he'll know this better than I, but not because there's prostitutes involved, but he knows the city of Dublin, and seemingly the Phoenix Park is a walled park, and I'm only told this now, that you can go and pick up girls at the park. Now, how do you pick up a girl who's behind a wall? I don't know. They figure it out somehow. And this song I learned from Dominic Behan, who's Brendan Behan's young brother. Anyway, enough of that. It's absolutely full of nonsense, but kind of naughty as well. It's got a chorus if you want to get at it. We might as well get at it right now. You had to pay to get in. If you don't sing, you'll have to pay to get out. Here's the chorus. Thunder and lightning, it's no lark when Dublin city is in the dark. If you have any money, go up to the park and view the zoological gardens. All together. We went there on our honeymoon, says she to me, if you don't come soon, I'll need to get in with the hairy baboon up in the zoological gardens. Thunder and lightning, it's no lark when Dublin city is in the dark. If you have any money, go up to the park and view the zoological gardens. Women have always been fascinating to me, and that fascination has found its way into stories and songs, and that is why I'm going to keep on singing about them forever. And there's a wee story I'm going to tell you before it starts. It's about how people view themselves. This woman had something I don't believe in. See, I don't have a religion, so I can say what the hell I like. And this woman had an afterlife experience. Is that what you call it? You're waking up, she thinks she's dead, but she's not. And she's facing God, and God is a woman from Glasgow. Now, I know that for a fact. And she faces God, and she says, well, is that it? And God, who's from Glasgow, says, no. You've got another 40 years and 8 months to go. Way back and enjoy life. Oh, great. She wakes up in the hospital. She says to the surgeon, do you have a system here of surgery to improve looks? Oh, yeah, we're the tops in Scotland. I want everything done. I'm very rich. I'll pay for everything. She has everything done from her toes right up to her head. She even has her hair done. And now the thing, I'm not going to describe the body parts because the men will start to salivate. So she gets everything done, and she walks out of the hospital, a new woman, perfect. She gets hit by an ambulance and killed, and this time she does end up right in front of God. And she says to God, hey, you said I had another 40 years and 8 months to go. Why did you let that ambulance kill me right outside the hospital? God looks at her and says, oh shit, I didn't recognize you. I sent for a farmer, I phoned the other day. The farmer took an awful time a coming. I sent for a farmer, sorry for to say. A farmer never came, they sent a woman. But our cows were and our sows were the very best, the top of all the bidding. All I did was ask her, is your father home in bed? It was then that she threw me in the midden. Well, I prayed to God Almighty, I prayed to him that day. And God Almighty
took an awful time a coming. I prayed to God Almighty, then glory, oh yeah. When God Almighty came, he was a woman. She viewed me, she howdy-doed me. She said, listen son, it's plain that you're no learning, so I'm sending you back to earth again. And this time you're coming back as a woman. Oh my God, I'm coming back as a woman.
For number 10, a woman fails to kill her husband.
All right, so there's a little sample of what Enoch does. Where was that? Where was that
Where was it?
event?
It was a little hall up above Borealis Records there. Then Borealis helped to put it on for me. And as you can see, we gave raffle tickets out. And I've got a lurid description of songs. So if your number came up, you chose whatever lurid description you like. Now talk about the song, sing it, or I'll tell a story about it.
I'm sorry, you said something about where the Boreal, the light,
Yeah,
the
it's
lights?
a record company in Toronto.
Oh, I see. Okay.
They produce my records.
Oh, okay.
Ta-da!
Oh, great. But why not? I mean, God being a woman. I
Yeah,
mean, why
perfect.
not?
She should have been.
Should have been. Yeah.
And president and prime minister.
Well, there's Mother Nature, right?
Yeah.
Too?
Yeah.
So why not? Yeah.
Yeah, there's Mother Nature.
Yeah, right.
All right. So,
Do you want me to tell you something about this weekend?
yeah, because it's the Canadian Folk Music Awards, and you're up for the what is it? The traditional
folk singer.
folk singer.
And there's a
award.
whole bunch of really talented people in it, so I'm not expected to win it. I've won it once, but that's good. Anyway, they're going to be there. I want to tell you about what's going to go on. I brought 2 notes. That's 1, that's 2. See, I can count. On Friday, there's a beautiful premiere of a movie. It's called Walk in My Dream. It's about the great harmonica player Mike Stevens, and it's following the life-changing events of his life. Now, that's at the Bell Lightbox. If those of you who have been to the Bell Lightbox will know what it is.
That's
the rest
what
of us.
Fringe Festival was.
Yeah,
John.
that's
Yeah.
right. That's exactly it. It's at 350 King Street West. Now, if you want tickets, this is where it gets hard. Get your pencils and papers out. If you want, or you're probably sitting in front of a computer, type this in: www.tix.tiff.net. I'll do it again: www.tix.tiff.net. That's their number, and they'll sell you a ticket if you're smart enough to get it. Now, here's a really nice thing about it. You know, when there's a charity and you never know how much money goes to the charity?
Yeah.
Ah, yes, we've heard this story.
Okay, so this, in this case, a full 50% of the ticket price, not 50% of the profit. Because after some charities have finished paying their staff and everything
Yeah.
else, there's not much profit left. A full 50% goes to the Arts Can Circle, which is to help young people get into music, and possibly up into the north where they've been giving kids musical instruments. It's really good. Okay, that's on the Friday. Now, Saturday, the big night for some people. It's a good night too. It's at Hughes Room. That's at 2261 Dundas Street. It's a marvellous hall. And the tickets there are unusually priced at $19.50 in advance, $21.50 at the door. And it includes HST. It's been there so long I've forgotten what HST stands for, but they're going to collect it.
I think it's human sexuality tax.
That's right. That's it.
Now, that's a good place if you're going to take a crowd or a group, because they take dinner reservations. There are wee tables around the stage.
Yep.
It's really terrific.
2261 Dundas. Would they be around
That's it.
Montisville or what? Where is
Okay.
What? Hughes Room?
2261.
Hughes Room. Yep,
It is Hughes Room.
yep.
Oh, that's a great venue.
Isn't it?
Yeah. It's
And it's going to be streamed out by Roots Music. So,
how many performers are going to be there?
no, that's a dirty question because I don't know the answer.
I mean,
Are
take
you
a
going to be
guess.
performing?
No, I'm going to be hanging around.
No.
There'll be about 6 people on.
About 6 people.
Yeah,
more or less.
and they're nominees for different categories.
Okay, for those who never been to the Hughes Room, and you might, maybe it's your room.
Well, it
This is
actually
called Hugh's Room.
it's a long story, Dan.
Okay,
but
okay. So doesn't that look a little bit like, I saw the movie Con Club, some of the fancy clubs in New York City over
Yeah.
the
It's an awesome room.
30s. It had this multi-level
Yeah.
nightclub look to it.
Yeah, it does.
And that's what it is.
But it's based upon folk music and roots music and blues music and
Yeah.
more or less our kind of music, you know. That's what goes on there. I've sung there 2 or 3 times. It's nice, very
Well,
good.
that venue, back in Scotland, did they have that, because it was such a beautiful, the way it's set up. Is that a tradition, that
No.
style?
No, that's a very. I think it's quite unique actually.
Yeah.
And Hugh is the brother of the guy who owns the club. Hugh died quite early, and
Oh.
they were fans of folk music, and he dedicated the name of the room to his
Oh, I
brother.
see.
Yeah, it's quite a sweet story actually.
Okay.
Now that's on the Saturday. Now here's a terrific story, and I don't have the answer to it, but it's worth phoning in. On Sunday afternoon at 1 o'clock at the Victoria College, there's going to be a workshop called Good Songs for Bad Times, because there's tons of folk music like that, but there's some very good performers in that. And the woman who's running it is Candice Shaw from the Peterborough Folk Festival. And that must be a very tasty festival, because they've never booked me. So it must be a nice place.
Oh, yeah.
They really know what they're doing.
They know what they're doing there. The other one, right after that, and I don't know if you buy one ticket and you get the 2 concerts. I assume so,
Yeah.
because there's only a 15-minute break in between where you have time to go and do whatever.
Yeah.
And after you've done whatever, folks, wash your hands. So after that, there's one called Mad for Trad, and I know 2 of the people there, Jean Hewson and Christina Smith from Newfoundland. Now, that's being hosted by Eleanor and Warren Robinson from Godrich, Celtic Roots. They are also tasty people, because they haven't booked me either. They're doing very well not booking me. Now, that night, this is great. If you buy a ticket for those 2 singly, that would be $30. If you buy one, you might get the 2 concerts for $15. But if you go to both of these and then go to the big gala performance that night at the Isabel Bader Theatre. Now, where is that? Well, it's right next door to where they've just had the workshops. So you can spend the day there, and it's a terrific deal that for $50 you get all of that, or if you just go to the gala, that's $40 and so on. So if I were you, I would go to the workshops, because you'll hear more about the songs. They have time to tell you about the songs and describe why the songs were made and then sing them.
Sorry, which one is
The workshop is at Victoria College, 91 Charles Street. Both of them are there in the afternoon, and in the evening at 93 Charles Street, that's the Isabel Bader Theatre. I think it's terrific. That's a gala reception, and all the people who've been nominated will be there, nervous, waiting to see if they've won. It's wonderful. It's a great time, and you'll get performances. It's a terrific day.
What's a Victoria College? The Isabel, was part of the Fringe Festival, wasn't it?
Well, it's one of the big theaters in town.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bill Bader, yeah.
I know it's part of the university, because my daughter stayed there for a while.
Yeah.
So that's the stories. So it's on basically Friday is a movie, Saturday is a night out at Hugh's Room,
Yeah.
Sunday you can spend a day with 2 workshops or 1 workshop or the gala thing in the evening, all at 91 or 93 Charles Street.
And it only comes once a year. right,
Once a
Enoch?
year.
So,
And I've been to the one in Ottawa, and I've been to one in Newfoundland. They're always well done, because of the performers. Yeah.
Now let's talk about the relevance of folk music today, because I mean you've given us a pretty good definition of folk music, but are there any radio stations that do folk as a format today?
There are small stations like the CIUT at the university.
Well, they'll play some folk, but it's not their whole
not
format.
all the whole time, yeah. But they have programs of folk. But no, they don't. The CBC doesn't do very much. They don't do enough, actually, considering the amount of folk music we have in Canada.
Well, and that's the thing. Like, makes you ask the question, why aren't we listening to more folk music? I mean, to me, country music, which is a big,
Well, that's folk music too.
well, it started out as folk music,
Yeah.
but the new country, it just it doesn't strike me as being genuine.
Well, they've made some really bad recordings in folk music. I remember one that was called "Kick Me Jesus Through the Goalpost of Life." I mean, you can't take a song like that seriously, or I can't anyway. So
But with a name like that, it just might go viral on YouTube, right?
Shania Twain was a folk musician, but her music completely switched from folk music, didn't it?
who was that?
Shania Twain? She was a folk singer.
She
Canadian.
was, I think, and then she became a kind of country
More,
singer,
more
didn't she?
pop, just pop.
Well, I
think.
mean, and that's where the country then blends with pop, right? Because
Yeah.
you want to go for that mass audience,
Yeah.
right? So,
It's not really blaming her. It was just this metamorphosis that happened,
Well,
which
it
it gets
happens.
into that money thing you're talking about.
Well,
I guess,
as
but-
soon as business becomes part of it, money
Yeah.
will become part of it.
yeah,
And I don't want to say greed becomes part of it. Well, let's just call it ambition to
Yeah.
get some of it.
yeah,
And that's what that's tempting, very tempting.
yeah.
what, you're
And-
tempted?
I was offered when I was very young in Scotland. I was on a weekly radio show. Sorry, a television show. And basically, I was offered if I went, if I gave up work and went into show business. But by the time that this offer came along, I'd learned enough about show business not to like it. It was full of false actions, false people. And I won't mention an agent's name. An agent once asked me to lie about something, and I wouldn't do it. And so the agent and I parted. He says, the agent wants to make money and get you to go and do something. And I said that I've already been booked for a lesser fee somewhere else. She says, just tell them that something's gone wrong and you'd missed that and you're going to go to the better paying job. I wouldn't do it. And it was a place where I always wanted to perform. But I just wouldn't do it. It's not that I'm a saint. I think that's a dirty trick. If someone did that to me, I'd be really upset. So if you can't do it to others, as I say,
So, I
as
mean,
you want done to.
right. Well, one of the, what I'm getting from what you're saying is that true culture, if you want to call it that, or genuine art, is bastardized or whatever once money comes into the picture.
I think almost always. Almost always.
Almost always.
Almost always. I think when you think of writers who have kept away from the commercial run of things, they've kept their own style. I mean, I didn't know this, but I listened to CBC classical music, and there's a man called Tom Allen who educated me every morning when he was on. And he told a story about the great composer Haydn, who had written tons and tons and tons of symphonies, in hundreds of symphonies, and was famous all over Britain. He didn't know about it because they just sold the music there. So there was orchestras playing his stuff in Britain. He went for a tour of London and was surprised at how famous he was because his agent or his publishing company had sent the music. He was getting some money, but he didn't know that everyone in London was waiting for this terrific guy to arrive. So he was the biggest pop star, if you like. Didn't stop him, though. When he was there, he wrote some more symphonies. And that was the only thing he wanted to do, the thing he was good at. Why would he change?
So there was a case where fame, money, and art came together.
It came together eventually, but while he was working for various counts, one he wrote a very unusual symphony where as the symphony is going along, you suddenly twig that there's less and less players here, and it ends up with just one guy playing a fiddle at the end. The musicians are walking out because he was working for this count who didn't give them holidays. So he told the musicians one at a time to leave, and the count said, "Where are they going?" He said, "They would really like to go on holiday," and they got a holiday. So that was a cunning way to do it without risking his neck. You know? Strange but brilliant man.
I think I remember way back when U2 was just at their peak, they were still quite young. And Shania Twain, no, Sinead O'Connor, the young lady that was also from they were both from Scotland or
Ireland,
Ireland.
for Sinead.
And yeah, Sinead, and she was sort of trashing U2 for the music, and maybe it was just her off on a rant, or maybe she was reflecting on what you were talking about, the lyrics being a little bit just for the business.
And that can happen. I can go on a rant if you like. I'm really good at that.
No, I didn't mean that you had to go on a rant, but
No, really, I'm good at it.
yeah,
Do something like Sinead would do.
yeah.
In musical terms. No, there's nothing wrong with them. They have their own point of view. Leave them alone, you know.
Yeah.
But why does money have to like ruin it? Shouldn't money be helping us to be better people and create better art and live better lives?
That's an idealistic point of view. And I'm an old man now, and I come from a socialist family, and money gets in the way until you find something that's really true to yourself. And I found it in 2 occasions outside of music, although music was involved in both of them. I joined a group called CND, the Campaign for Nuclear Disarmament, in Great Britain, and I joined various fairly famous people. And I was so impressed by that movement. I don't have a religion, and so therefore I can say what the hell I like. But I was so impressed by churchmen joining that. And they were under threat from the Church of England, because the Church of England, the boss, the Archbishop of Canterbury, said, we don't want anything to do with this. This is a left-wing movement. And in those days, we were all commies or pinko bastards or whatever. Now we're very sane people because we were working for something that we've all been hoping for years. But something was done. And it was done by people together in a march. There was church people, union people, local councillors, national councillors, and just people. Folk singers were there. Music was very much the tie-in to the groups. You would have a meeting, a local campaign for nuclear disarmament. You go to your local group, there was always somebody singing. There was a song by Pete Seeger, usually, or at least, and various others about peace. Now, the other movement that quietly, thank God, went away was it was a campaign to pay for the anti-apartheid people who were on trial in South Africa. A completely unfair state of going on. And so we sang, I remember singing many, many places, collecting money, sending it to South Africa to pay the lawyers to defend these people. I felt good about that. I mean, I felt really good about that. I feel, actually, singing makes you feel good anyway. I mean, there's a physical thing, it makes you feel really good. You're singing, you feel good because it's yours, and it's.
Mm-hmm. And but again, it's not. I'm wondering if it's not like there's a gray area. It's not cut and dry. It's not black and white.
No, it's not.
Because you might get a pop star like a Lady Gaga. Here I'm bringing it. Someone popular back then, who joined the group. Say, hey, I like your cause.
Yes.
I'm going to join you.
Even
though they already made their money.
I forgot them. There were pop singers.
Yeah.
In that group as well.
Yeah.
I don't remember them singing, but they joined to say, we want to be seen. And their presence helped the cause.
Yeah.
Their music, I don't know if it did anything for the cause.
Right, sure.
So I was happy about that on those 2 occasions.
Mm-hmm.
But actually singing to an audience that listens is so moving. I won't sing in pubs.
You won't?
No.
Because they won't listen half the time.
Well, I don't want to sing to drunks unless I'm drunk, you know.
Yeah.
By the way, this program is called, what's it called again?
Liquid Lunch.
Liquid Lunch.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you something about Liquid Lunch. When I worked in advertising, if the guy said they were going for Liquid Lunch, I wouldn't see them for 3 hours, you know, until they came back, smelling of booze.
Yeah.
So.
It's funny. Liquid Lunch was popular. The actual term liquid lunch
It was
back in
popular
the
among
40s.
executives and advertising people.
Yeah,
Great-
I
great
wonder
story,
how could
but-
they work? I mean, they come back after
Well,
their
actually, advertising is not exactly work of national importance. It's just something to get you through the day. Get paid. But it's a very funny story. It was like a president of an agency in New York
yeah,
said to his executives, the next time you go out for a liquid lunch,
yeah,
drink gin. Do not drink vodka because
Yeah.
you don't smell of booze.
yeah.
So I want our clients to know you're drunk and not stupid. That was in the memo. Is that a great memo?
That's something. But to do a presentation while you're sloshed, I don't know. Like,
Well, you've never done that, Dan?
Well,
well, maybe I.
I stopped drinking for a year.
Yeah,
And I found out that an awful lot of the people that were working for me were stupid. But when I was drunk, they were fine. Because we were all drunk together. We used to drink and we'd argue
yeah,
and we got good advertising done. We
Yeah.
never lost any accounts. But I mean, I wouldn't like to have been the owner of the agency and have to tell the shareholders what he was spending his money on this bunch of drunks. But they're doing good advertising, you know.
yeah.
It was rather a wonderful time. A free, I don't know. It was not quite free thinking. You had to get the job done, but for some reason we always got it done the night before it was due.
So, Enoch, we don't have a lot of time left, but
Is that God speaking? Oh no.
but we still have some time.
Yeah, oh, good.
And I don't know. I don't know what to ask you, Enoch. You've been around, obviously, for a little bit, and you've had a successful career, not just in music. And you're up for another Canadian Folk Music Award. But
Amazing, eh?
it is amazing. Yeah.
He's done it again. I got a lovely letter from I had a medical problem, and my nephew, who's a publisher in England, not a big publisher, but he's a publisher and a writer, and he was a newspaper man. So when I get a letter back from him, he goes back to being a newspaper man. Every letter I get, there's a perfect headline in it. So I wrote to him and told him I'd got over a medical ailment. And he wrote that Enoch Kent has body swerved the Grim Reaper one more time. Which I think is quite a nice headline.
Well, that's yeah. So when you put yourselves in that mortality, that frame of reference.
I'll sing you a song about that. You get
Awesome.
time?
That's a great idea for sure. Yeah.
Okay. In Scotland, the name for a chimney is lum.
Lum.
Right. And I'm going to sing a song that's called The Crematorium, which rhymes with lum. Isn't that fortunate? Amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And here is the chorus. You don't have to join the chorus if you don't feel like it.
Okay.
Try and stay awake, though. That'd be good.
Yeah, okay.
When you see the crematorium, remember someday this is where you'll come. And when you see the smoke curling out the lum, there's going to be a hot time in the old town tonight. An Italian bloke, he owned a cafe of delight, gave his wife and his pals, oh, a hell of a fright. They read the sign, Tony Fries tonight. There's going to be a hot time in the old town tonight. So when you see the crematorium, remember someday this is where you'll come. And when you see the smoke curling out the lum, there's gonna be a hot time in the old town tonight. A wee Glasgow man, Enoch was his name, died of whiskey drinking. It was his favourite game. When they struck the match, you should have seen the bloody flame. There was a hot time in the old town that night. So when you see the crematorium, remember someday this is where you'll come. And when you see the smoke curling out the lum, there's gonna be a hot time in the old town tonight. Now you won't need an organ or a choir. For just a few bucks, there's a band you can hire, and they will play you. Come on, baby, light my fire. There's gonna be a hot time in the old town tonight. So
When you see the crematorium, remember someday this is where you come. And when you see the smoke curling out the lump, there's gonna be a hot time in the old town tonight. Bang, bang. That's it.
Yeah.
You know, that's got a. Yeah, thanks, Dan.
That's my audience then.
Yeah.
You know, that sounds like a. I've heard that melody before, though. Is it?
It's a hot time in the old town. Actually, it's written by a Glasgow guy, fantastic guy. He's dead now. Sean, he denies writing it, but he did write it. And he was a lawyer. Absolutely incredible character. I said to him one day, he was always in the pub when I was in the pub. And I said to him, what do you do for a living, Sean? He said, I teach international law at the Glasgow University in the afternoon. I said, just in the afternoon? He said, yes. I'm too pissed and in the morning. He said, I'm too pissed by the afternoon. He taught international law. How can you do that and then get pissed the rest of the day and come back to students who are up on everything and teach international law? His name is Sean. He wrote that. He wrote a song making fun of the Orangemen, the right-wing Protestants, and I'm not singing that.
You know, they have that Orange Day Parade still here in Toronto.
Yeah.
Comes up Bay Street
the Orange
like
Walk.
once a year.
Yeah. It's, you know, it's just commemorating the Battle of the Boyne when King Billy beat King James. And since then, I've had two football teams in Glasgow. Celtic, who are Catholic, supported.
As you mentioned.
And the Rangers, Protestant supported. And you know what? They're terrible. They're spoiling the game, but I hope they don't get rid of them, or the royal family, or lawyers, or we'll have to tell jokes about ourselves, you know.
Yeah, sure.
All right, Enoch. Well, we didn't get into so much. There's a lot of stuff we were talking about before the show, and we didn't really get into it. But I suspect if we started getting into that, we'd be here all day.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
I want to hear
Yeah.
more about the war later on King James and.
Oh, I've got a real good story about that.
Okay.
It's commemorated. It was the Battle of the Boyne
Now, where was that?
Yeah.
in
battle?
Ireland.
In Ireland.
Yeah.
See, we don't know about this stuff.
See?
So just give us a little background. It was what?
James,
What year? What year? And what was going on?
1715, basically.
Write
1715.
Yeah.
that down.
Okay, I'm writing it down.
It may be wrong, by the way, but write
Okay,
it down
yeah.
anyway. The rebellion in Scotland was 1715, the Jacobite rebellion, the first one, the second one was 1745. Anyway, James was going to take over the English throne by his right, because he was a Stuart, but he was a Catholic.
Right.
And he was over in France being supported by the French throne and the Pope.
Yeah.
He thought he was going to make it. So
Uh-huh.
he came over, and he did quite well, but he was a terrible leader, seemingly. He was a rotten personality. And he didn't get the backing from a couple of big Highland clans that he should have, and they were Catholics. Anyway, he fought against King Billy's troops.
The British.
It was
King
English.
William?
King William came to take over the throne. He came from Holland.
France.
He came from Holland.
Oh, okay.
That's why it's orange.
William of Orange.
William of Orange, yeah.
Right. Okay.
So he came, he fights and beats King James. So the joke is King James, after the battle, is sitting like this on the side of the battlefield, sitting on a rock, quite demoralized. King Billy comes along, says, what's wrong with you, Jimmy? He said, I had you outnumbered, had you outpositioned, and I had more ammunition, and you beat us. And King Billy says, don't worry about it. Who's going to remember the Battle of the Boyne in the future?
So that's interesting.
A whole country.
Outmaneuvered, more ammunition, but outmaneuvered and still
He
got
lost.
beat.
So I'm just trying to get. So the battle was in Ireland.
Yeah, that was a
But
joke.
and the outcome, I know, but I'm just trying to get the history here. So and the outcome of this battle was going to become the King of Britain,
He was going to become the Catholic king.
and instead the
And
Protestant
he-
from Holland won.
The Protestant king from Holland, but the court of England had a fantastic army that really beat the crap out of the Catholic king.
Right.
So
Yeah,
Northern
why,
Ireland.
But why did the William of Orange get involved? He's Holland. Like, why is
Yeah, but he was the
the
king of England then. They brought him over to
Oh, I
keep
see.
the...
Okay.
See, when the English get tired of having English kings, they bring in Germans and Dutch.
They bring in imports. Okay. I
They
didn't
import,
see.
yeah.
Oh. Interesting. Okay, so Hugh is taking
Hugh's just
off,
left.
and okay, all right. So so let's get back to your music again.
I'd like to get back to the Canadian Folk Music Awards. You know what?
okay, sure.
It's such a good weekend if you can make any of these gigs.
Yeah, and where are the musicians from that are
All
in
over
there?
for this. They come from all over
around
Canada.
the world, you say, or all over Canada?
All over Canada. It's the Canadian Folk Music
Okay,
Awards.
okay.
So they're all Canadian.
Right.
And I know some of them, and I've heard some of them, and I've
Can
sung
you
with some.
mention a name?
I'll
Just
tell
so
you
some-
one person who's really wonderful.
Yeah.
Her name is Jean Hewson, and she's a terrific singer, and she writes and plays, but she plays along with a woman called Christine Smith.
Right.
Now together, they are the most beautiful singing voice and the guitar and fiddle together, and they're so down east. Their stuff is great, and the one that they are in is Mad for Trad. They'll be singing traditional music from Holland. They'll be singing it from Newfoundland and other places.
Do you get anyone there from Salt Springs Island there in off Vancouver? It seems like a lot of talented folk singers from Salt Springs Island.
It could
or
be,
something.
and I don't know them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's funny how there's so much talent either way out west or way out in the Maritimes.
And no talent here in Toronto.
Oh, tons of
There
talent.
is
We have
some.
tons of talent here. I'm not kidding.
Yeah.
I tell you, you go to a gig, and I've gone to gigs, and they've arranged a gig, and I haven't. Or I can invite people.
Yeah.
I've got a list of folks that I've sung with here. I mean, I've been here since '66. So the accent just follows me wherever I go.
Yeah, yeah.
But I think getting to this will give you a good idea of maybe of what you should be hearing more of.
Real music,
Real music.
genuine
It
storytelling.
is good stuff.
And
really
it's because all that other phony stuff just makes
Well,
But
let
you
me
know,
take- let me take it
but
back
there's
to-
bands here as well, and
Yeah.
there's people who do write personal songs.
Yeah.
Which is fine,
Yeah.
and but they're really good. In other words, they're the best of the personal songs.
Yeah, yeah.
All right. Okay, Enoch, it's been great to meet you. Great to have this conversation. Good luck at the awards, even though I know you don't really want to win. And is there a website for the music awards? Is it? And I know you
There
don't.
must be. Yeah, it's just CFMA.
CFMA.
I type it all out. Canadian
what?
Folk Music Awards. Type it out,
Sure.
and you'll get it.
And or Google it and it'll,
Yeah, it'll
come
come
up.
up.
And we already mentioned the site to get the tickets, tytix.tif.net.
That's for the movie. Yeah.
Yeah, and you yourself, Enoch, do you have a website where people can get and stay in touch with you?
Yeah. Hold on now. No more hard questions. It's is this a personal one you're going to write to me?
I'm just, I'm trying to just,
You know what?
tell people
I'll
how
tell
to get
you
in
what.
touch.
I don't want to be sort of big-headed about this, but if you go to Enoch Kent on your, it'll say Enoch Kent's website,
Yeah.
and a whole lot of things will come up. Right back to when I was writing comedy stuff for
Yeah,
the
all right.
stuff in England. So you pick out what you like.
Well, worst case scenario, just Google it. Enoch
Or
Kent.
just look up the phone book I'm in.
All right. Okay, Enoch, great to
Thanks
do
very
this.
much. That
Thank
was
you
great.
for doing this today.
And by the way, the liquid lunch was absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, and that ain't water in there.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Gin.
Okay,
Kind of, was it W.C. Fields used to do that?
Yeah.
we're going to take a little break. We're going to play one of your videos from, I think, from the Newfoundland Festival.
Oh, that's a
And,
good one. Yeah, play that one.
And we're
It's
gonna,
nice. I'm singing up on the stage, and there's kids fighting in front of me. It's great. It's
And
nice.
we're going to come back. Sonic Dave is in the house. It's so fantastic to see Sonic Dave, mayoralty candidate, activist, and so much more. So here's Enoch, and come back with Sonic Dave. Liquid Lunch, ThatChannel.com.
That was almost painless.
Yeah.
I was born of Glasgow parents one day when I was young. That's why the Glasgow dialect became my native tongue. And I was a pretty baby, my mother she did vow. The girls all ran to kiss me, oh, I wish they'd do it now. Oh, Oh, I wish they'd do it now. Oh, I wish they'd do it now. I've got itches in my britches, and I wish they'd do it now. I don't want you clapping. I've never given anybody the clap. At 18 months, as fine a boy as ever you could see. Oh, the lasses, they would handle me, dance me on their knee. They would rock me in the cradle, and if I made a row, they would run to me and cuddle me. Oh, I wish they'd do it now. Oh, I wish they'd do it now. Oh, I wish they'd do it now. I've got itches in my britches, and I wish they'd do it now. At 2 years old, as fine a boy as ever could be seen. Oh, the lasses, they would follow me right down to the green. They'd make a chain of buttercups, hang it round my brow. Then they'd roll me in the clover. Oh, I wish they'd do it now. Oh, I wish they'd do it now. Oh, I wish they'd do it now. I've got itches in my britches, and I wish they'd do it now. The East End girls would call on me when the weather it was mild. Down to the water we would go, we'd splash about a while. They'd throw the water over me, dip me like a yow. Then they'd rub me nice all over. Oh, I wish they'd do it now. Oh, I wish they'd do it now. Oh, I wish they'd do it now. I've got itches in my britches, and I wish they'd do it now. It's awful lonely for a boy to lead a single life. I think I'll go to the dance tonight. I'll try and find a wife. My fortune is 6 thriving pigs, likewise 1 big fat sow. There'll be plenty love and bacon for the girl who'll have me now. For the girl who'll have me now. For the girl who'll have me now. There'll be plenty love and bacon for the girl who'll have me now. Rusting tractor on the hill, the fence post with the printed bill that said the sale was on until everything was gone, and the auctioneer comes here today. Privacy upon display, the highest bidder takes away, but they can't take it all. The letter came on a Wednesday. The bank said that we had to pay, or else they'd take the farm away. And they said they'd take it all. And the auctioneer comes here today. Privacy upon display, the highest bidder takes away, but they can't take it all. There's bone and silver napkin rings, elastic bands around spoons and things. Tiny fingers once held the strings of that fiddle in the case. And there's coffee pots that we never used, silver frames a little bruised, around the portraits that amused us in the parlour and the hall. And the auctioneer comes here today. Privacy upon display, the highest bidder takes away, but they can't take it all. Like fire glow and favourite songs and laughter, they're the things among the memories that still belong within those empty rooms. Oh, remember when were low. We had pies, balloons, and mistletoe. Morning sunlight on the snow, who will buy a broken sleigh? And the auctioneer comes here today. Privacy upon display. The highest bidder takes away, but they can't take it all. There's a jar of nails and a box of tacks. The dining chairs with the wicker backs. In the garden piled in stacks and being spotted by the rain. And the auctioneer comes here today. Cars line the sidewalk black and grey. Children watch the odd display while their mothers touch the lots that are numbered now with colored tags. Books and clothing sold in bags, bought for learning, bought for rags. Everything must go, and the auctioneer comes here today. Privacy upon display. The highest bidder takes away, but they can't take it all.
Without you in my life, every tear becomes a sea. And the memories that surround me, in the end will set me free.
Oh, there we are.
You think? See, look, Dave, we're on. We got Bay Street behind us. You see, that's what's going
That's
out
not-
there right now. Look.
Oh, that's right.
the same Bay Street behind both of us? Like it's the same scene and no one would notice?
Nobody's supposed to notice.
Are we on?
You're not supposed to notice.
We're not on yet,
Do
are
we? Yeah, we're on right now.
No way.
Yeah, we're on.
Right
Oh,
on.
well,
Yeah.
no,
Sonic Dave is in the house. Sonic Dave, it's so great to have you on the show, to see you. And I just feel very fortunate to, when I went down the very last night of the Occupy Toronto, went into the big yurt, and there you were. And how's it going?
Awesome.
Yeah?
I was hijacking the Occupy Toronto movement.
Don't tell me. For what? What is it? The World Peace Powwow?
Exactly, the World Peace Festival Cyber Powwow Telethon.
Yeah.
Uniting to save the earth and heal people, heal nations.
Heal nations and heal the people.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So now, so where have you been? Because the last time that we were really talking was in the middle of the Caledonia standoff, and you were spending a lot of time down in Caledonia.
Oh yeah, I was going there. I thought they needed some media assistance because they were getting creamed by the mainstream media in Canada and spin doctored. They were spin doctoring and making natives look bad.
Yeah.
So I thought I'd go down and help them out.
So what have you been doing since then? Are you in town now? Are you in Toronto?
Well, I was living at Occupy Toronto, and
Now what are you
All you
doing?
had to do
I'm in
was
between
phone him.
places now.
All you had to do was phone him,
What, Dave?
At his home in occupied Toronto.
I didn't have their number,
Oh, okay.
Dan.
All right.
And Sonic Dave, gee, I had another question there.
So what has happened? What were you doing the last during this occupation, during this time at that?
Occupy Toronto?
Yeah.
Well, I was looking for the cream of the crop of humans to recruit for helping us produce the World Peace Powwow.
Yeah.
And we still need some broadcast partners, so I'll let you know when our dates are confirmed for that. And I found a lot of really cool people. They really do care about what's going on the planet, and a lot of them are conscious of what's really going down with this global takeover.
Global takeover. So, there is some debate about this global takeover, Dave.
Is there?
Well,
Whether it's
I'm
real
playing
or
devil's
not?
advocate here, but the whole thing is, and this is like for the conspiracy. And Dan, you
Yes.
can weigh in on
Yeah,
this,
okay,
okay?
okay.
Here's the global takeover is. Actually, I'm gonna just say something just to kind of illustrate the point. I was watching a video over the weekend. Jim Mars. Do you know Jim Mars? Jim Mars. He's a.
It's not related to Tex Mars, is it?
I don't know.
Okay.
Maybe he is Tex Mars. Maybe
Okay.
that's his nickname. I don't know because he is from Texas. But he wrote the book that someone gave to Oliver Stone that became the movie JFK, for example.
Right on.
Right? So, and he's talking about the fact that, any way you want to look at it, people, human beings, have been moving westward from Sumeria, ancient Sumeria, always in an effort to escape to freedom, right? You know, people went west to Abraham, left Ur, right?
Well, Abraham left the Tigris, which is
the Sumer.
the
That's
Sumer,
right. He
right,
was-
and that was where Ethiopia is today, or wherever it was.
No, that's where Iraq is
Iraq,
today.
okay, and then
But I'm
he-
saying he went west.
That's right, to the
to
mid-
escape to freedom.
That's right.
And people have been going west ever since. They came west to North America for freedom, and they keep moving west for
To
freedom. But now
California,
there's nowhere.
supposedly to
Exactly.
California
and then
and the beaches.
Australia, of
Yeah,
course.
yeah.
But true, it's true.
Yeah.
America, that's what America's all about. And yet there's nowhere to move to anymore. And now we have technology, and it seems, at least some people think, that the world is coming under some sort of a controlling mechanism and our freedoms are being taken away. And you don't have to look very far for evidence, like the Patriot Act in the United States, like the new crime omnibus bill that's being passed, I think, today
Oh
in
my,
Canada,
yes.
right?
Well, what is that bill about? Just in like
Well,
2
it's
seconds.
it's just a very draconian new. It makes a lot of things criminal.
Okay.
Mandatory sentencing
Okay,
They're
that
building
sort of
new
thing.
prisons.
Oh, I see. Okay,
Right?
that sort of thing.
You know what? Like
All
it's
right.
it's just you know, a lot of people are saying this is not
Well,
the
maybe-
kind of freedom, the kind of just law that Canadians have come to
Okay.
expect.
Well, on one hand, on the one hand, we're not losing you as the interviewee
No,
here,
that's okay.
but on one hand, we're having what you said, perhaps more control, and people don't know what to do because of the technology. But on the other hand, it's almost like an Armageddon without everyone getting killed. You're getting that challenge, and then the people with their cell phones informing the rest of the world where they couldn't inform before. What's happening in Syria, what's happening in Tunisia, and people are informing themselves what's going on so they can rebel against the dictators that they
That's
have.
interesting. So what you're
we're
saying-
having one thing, but then we're having the other.
It's
where
a
there's more
two-edged
freedom.
sword. In other
Yes.
words, the technology is enabling everyone. It's creating a level playing field for
A bit
communications.
of a level playing field sometimes.
and that sort of
On
thing.
the other hand, you can have Health Canada, without us knowing, doing all kinds of things with their software and challenging private medical
Yeah.
practices and having them closed
Yep,
down
yep.
before we even get to do anything.
Yeah.
So there is a two-edged sword there.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of who's going to win.
Absolutely. Dave, what have you got to say about all that?
Well, we are coming into a technocracy. Sure, we can use that technology for good, but we also now have microphones and cameras on us all the time just with our cell phones. So this is part of the control grid that could shut down any free-thinking human beings.
Yeah,
And-
it's I mean, and
That's the
again,
other-
again
yeah.
with that, with the cameras, there's universal surveillance. I mean, it's already there in Britain, and it's certainly coming here to Toronto. We've got a lot of cameras downtown. But on the other hand, you see instances of citizens filming police officers doing
Beating
illegal
somebody up.
activities, exactly. Or so that camera scenario works both ways too, right?
Like-
It's also exposing the wrongs of authorities and the establishment and that sort of thing. So
It works. There's a negative side and there's the positive side. If you want to show some people doing some negative stuff, you can take your cell phone, put it on someone, and you're informing a bunch of people out there that are like-minded like you that wouldn't have known if you didn't have that cell phone with you. On the other hand, you have what you just said, the negative side, where everyone's watching you, and it's like Big Brother and George Orwell and that sort of thing.
And now that with all of this Patriot Act and other similar things in Canada, like it's illegal to film, and they can arrest you for that. They'll probably put that in the omnibus crime bill that you can't film because of terrorism. That you're like scoping out the place to bomb it or something. So it's becoming harder to do that. If you go in the States or into the UK and you try to film around political buildings and things like that, you'll probably get stopped and told not to do that.
Well, it's. I mean, and I think it just says that the fact we're living in a situation where there is flux. It's a two-edged sword. It could go either way.
Yeah.
But the need for, which I think is the purpose of the World Peace Powwow, to bring awareness about this and to say, let's try to create a better planet that's supports people. Supports human beings and their lives, rather than taking the things that make life worthwhile away from us. Let's support them and let's add to that, right?
Yeah, kind of like Occupy, how we started to use the live stream and connect with the other Occupies around the world and communicate with anyone who just wanted to, have a meeting of the minds. And the World Peace Powwow is modeled after that microcosm that was going on, talking about important issues, but we really need to get to the heart of important matters ASAP and figure out what we're going to do on this planet, because things are becoming dire straits for everything, for our health, just for survival, economic implosion or collapse.
Yeah. And I get concerned about those things, a lot. Dan, do you get concerned about those things?
I am, and sometimes I don't know where to start. So this is where I guess you come in. You're trying to get together with your people to inform, I guess, other special interest groups and then the massive public. to inform to. Like, first, let me start over again. I think what you're trying to get together with your groups on the priorities. What are the priorities? And then once you guys figure out those priorities, then you try to communicate to other groups or to the massive public. Hey, listen, I know you're concerned, but here, let's just start with this first. We've got to get this dealt with, and then that, and then the other stuff starts to fall into place. Is that what your group is trying to do?
Yeah,
Because there's so many
exactly.
things on the plate. People are going, oh, I don't know what to do. Where to start,
Yeah.
and maybe that's what has to be done. And then the politicians are all disagreeing with each other and yapping at each other. It's no, it's this way, no, it's that way. And it's very frustrating. So I guess maybe a message from your group, whoever they are.
Well, let's find out. Like Dave, like for example, you were down there. How long were you in St. James Park with the Occupy movement?
Maybe about over a month.
A month.
Yeah.
Okay. And so what was the general vibe? Like what would happen on a day? The night I was there, which was the last night, was a cold, rainy night, and everyone was expecting the police to be coming in later on that night. The vibe I got, people were in a pretty okay mood. People were just doing their thing, getting along well with each other. Spirits were positive. Is that how it was throughout your stay there?
Yeah, generally, though it was a microcosm of our society, and there were problems that happened there, like drug and alcohol use and violence. And whenever somebody acted inappropriately like that, basically we evicted them. Like we did hand them over to the police because we didn't want the police coming in, and they were hurting people and things like that.
And when you did that, and what was your interaction like with the police?
Good. We had liaisons, and it was all positive. Actually, the police were very positive, all in all. Even during the raid, and it seemed like we were outnumbered by at least 3 or 4 to 1. The day of the raid, they just surrounded everything. Even where there were 3 things that were barricaded and bunkered off: the library yurt, the sacred fire, and then the gazebo was bunkered up too.
They were in the process of bunkering that when I went through that night. They were just putting the bunker together.
Yeah.
So that you guys got surrounded and outnumbered by the police.
But I'm waiting for
yeah,
the but.
yeah. Let's hear the story.
They not like the G20 where they used total police brutality and tactics like that. This time they used soft hand approach, probably because of still reeling from the G20. They just surrounded it and wouldn't let anybody into those areas, and then just slowly closed in. Like at the Sacred Fire, they ended up dragging people away and putting them in the paddy wagon, and they just negotiated too with other people just to kind of weed out any resistance, and then just narrowed it down. And that was pretty much it. They just closed in without any weapons or anything, just total people surrounding the whole thing. And it just took time, and it just pretty much took the whole day. And then when they were taking people out of the library yurt and putting them in the paddy wagon, ones that wouldn't, for trespassing was the charge.
What is the library yurt? I'm sorry, what is
it?
that?
It was a yurt, a Mongolian tent, basically.
Okay.
That was winterized, and they just had a library in there. They used
I
it for
see.
different things. It was
yeah.
the women's safe space as well.
Okay.
So pretty much those people were put into the paddy wagon, and then people stood in front of the paddy wagon and wouldn't let that drive off the property. They said, no, process them here and let them go here. So they ended up letting the paddy wagon onto the road, and then they did process them in the police command center. So the people did exert their power negotiating because they wanted it peaceful and they wanted people let go.
And
So
that's what happened.
I thought that was cool. I myself originally started the Sacred Fire, and it did get changed stopped and started 4 times. We can talk about that issue another time later, about the discrepancy going on in the Native community, but I could have held that Sacred Fire still. I could still be there right now holding it, because there was a land claim put down, a lawsuit, and just having a Sacred Fire there is actually a religious ceremony, and there's even laws in Canada that you just can't shut down spiritual ceremonies and things like that. But I think they talked to some people, Native people in Toronto, and they had those people basically let the fire burn out so that they couldn't be sued for infringing on our rights.
Okay. And now, what do you think the Occupy Toronto, or maybe the Occupy movement as a whole, has accomplished so far?
It lit a spark. It's not finished yet because they're still meeting every evening at 7 o'clock at Nathan Phillips Square, Toronto City Hall, and still trying to figure out what the next step is.
Can I add that as an adjunct to his question? When that question's asked, do you think in terms of just Toronto or all across the states? There was one in New York, Chicago, and then also in Canada, right across. I think in Winnipeg, Vancouver. That spark, do you look at it as a rather big spark because it was almost around the same time?
Yeah.
These get-togethers at these city parks or wherever they were.
I think so, and I really liked it because it's like the cyber powwow where all these different places are connecting because we want all the nations to come and communicate, not just all the Native nations across the Americas, but the world to come together and figure out what we're going to do. But I know, just one thing before I forget, the U.S. Forces were there. They had a really long motorhome with New York plates on it the week before the raid, and when they opened the door, it was totally like a CIA communications unit, and they were totally studying Occupy Toronto. They probably wanted it shut down because of the large Native contingency. It was the largest anywhere in North America. There was only one Native guy in the New York Occupy, and we had like a whole bunch of Native nations come down and people, and so it was very interesting just why they would want to shut that down.
So wait, you said that the U.S. the U.S. military had a...
It was probably Homeland Security, CIA, and all that. It was basically, it had New York plates on it. It was in a motorhome.
And where was it?
It was parked right in front of St. James Park.
On King Street?
Yeah. And I thought, wow.
For the whole time?
Just before the raid, that week before the raid,
so the week before the raid.
Yeah.
So that's interesting that the U.S. military would have a presence here in Toronto.
Yeah.
Period.
No, I'm not sure if it was military or CIA, but certainly intelligence community.
Now, did you get inside the vehicle?
I didn't, but someone, a reliable source, saw when they opened the door. You could see that it was a communications command center.
Right. Okay. So I mean, to me that's a little bit disturbing. You're kind of smiling about it, but
well, it is disturbing. I thought it might be because I was there, but other Native groups, and just because we were connecting and having a meeting of the minds and figuring out what we're going to do.
But they got so much happening over across their own border. I mean, why worry about you guys over here? I mean,
well, plus we can look after it ourselves. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I kind of wonder.
Well, we straddle the border. Natives straddle the border. We didn't have the border here, so if it starts, we have a stronghold up in the north part of the continent with all the treaties that we had signed. So if they lose control here and it starts to fall and freedom starts to reign, it'll just rain all over the United States too.
I guess good point. Okay.
Yeah, because our people, I'm Mohawk, so Iroquois people straddle the border, and we're all over the place. We're connected. It's not an American Canadian thing. They're starting their North American Union. We already had that. Before they staged the American Revolution, the Iroquois Confederacy had, I think, over 300 nations in North America. So it was a stronger United Nations. It was the first United Nations, and they don't want that back again. They don't even want anyone to go there or think that that's possible, that all the people here, all the non-Native people, could live in freedom here. This could be the freedom zone if we can get back to our place where we were, our nations, before contact and colonization.
What would that look like?
I think it would look like, see how people, like, I'm not saying everyone in the United Nations is bad, but they are part of the global takeover if you start to study their agenda. And it would look, the way people view the United Nations, that's how it would look. It would be the real version of that, where it would be real democracy, nations really representing themselves, and people really coming together, not just all lip service and a big front of democracy and freedom and unity.
In other words, not a big top-down hierarchy, but more of a bottom-up true democracy and then cooperation.
Yeah,
Okay.
true unity.
Now, Dave, some people are even saying that the fact that the Occupy movement, where did it come from? Why did it happen all over North America all at once, all at the same time? I think somebody looked it up, and the website OccupyWallStreet.org or something was registered by Adbusters magazine.
Yeah,
And
which is a
some-
Canadian company.
Yeah, although some people are saying, where do they get their funding from? Is somebody behind this? Because there's a lot of foundations and so forth that put money into charitable organizations to control agendas and that sort of thing. Do you have any thoughts about that? Daniel, wait, Daniel
Can I
wanted
have
to
a
say
thought?
something.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
There's hardly a thought in my head, but this one came out of the left corner of my brain. We're having this bombardment of doomsday, and maybe some of it is valid with the even if you're not involved with the markets directly, the fall of the markets, that's just continuing with America again, supposedly not balancing the budget, and then going on with the thing, like you're saying, the possible, you just mentioned earlier, the possible collapse of the whole financial systems around the world. And we're having Europe and a couple of countries in Europe on the euro dollar that are about to default. Greece, Italy, Spain, for a while maybe England, and trying to resolve that. And then just the regular folks saying, we're getting squeezed out of our jobs because stocks go down, then people fire people or lay off people, and then it just domino effect happens, and people just get fed up and remember what happened a few years ago with the whole banking mess. And so they all get up and start with that, and then the interest groups start to say, well, while you're arguing about that, there's these other issues we want to address too. And then the sit-ins come in with all kinds of different, if I'm guessing right, different groups, similar overall overall concerns, but there's different agendas. Is that not true? That there's different agendas. They were all attracted, I think, initially from what they heard on the mainstream news, which got their anger going, and then the organizer says, well, let's have this sit-in or walk-in or camp-in. And it just went like wildfire across North America.
Yeah, we've been debating about who started it, or like whose agenda is at play here, and whether it's the powers that be orchestrating it. I don't think it matters. They always co-opt everything we do. So I always co-opt whatever they do, and that's why I went there, because I know you're going to find quality people. You're going to find awesome people all the time, just organically going there, and whatever their issues were, their wake-up call that they brought, that's all good,
that's
because it brought us together.
It was all brewing like a volcano about a lot of things, everybody. And it's sort of like that movie Network, remember years ago?
Oh, yeah.
I'm not going to take it anymore, and you shout out kind of thing. It was a movie back in the before your time.
You
in a way.
saw that, Dave, right?
Or with
Network?
Finch.
Dave's
Guy,
old.
did you remember that?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
you do. And they all yell out, we're not going to take it anymore. So that's maybe what's happened. Like, it was already brewing. Like, the people get together for Burning Man Festival in the Salt Flats of wherever it is.
Utah.
Is that where? I'm not sure if it was there or it was actually near Las Vegas, Nevada. But there was nothing there. Everyone has to bring their own stuff, so everyone had to learn to co-op together.
Well, that
That's-
sounds like what was going on down at Occupy.
Yeah, totally. You brought your own gear. Everyone shared. There were donations,
Yeah.
and
But
I
this
think we
was
could
going
live
on
community.
Before that, for the last several years, it started off
yeah.
with a few hundred people. Now they got I don't know, 20,000 people, 5,000, no, 5 to 10,000 people that show up.
Yeah.
And you're on your own, but people share. There's only one thing that's offered you. There's a cafe there, but everything else, everyone brings their RVs. And if you brought water supplies, but you're short, someone will share it with you. There's a whole camp out there for 5
Maybe that's why the
days.
CIA came. They just brought their RV and
They wanted
You
to
know.
camp out.
yeah, they wanted to camp out, get some of that piece of pizza. I mean,
Who knows? They destroyed the hippie movement with drugs and LSD, and that maybe they were trying to study how they can destroy what's organically happening here in Toronto, because I think it's a mecca for just good minds coming together with solutions.
You know,
Yeah.
do you remember the movie from a rerun, obviously, because it is before some of our time, was Easy Rider?
Yeah.
Because
That was
it
a good
reflects on that. That probably mixes in a little bit of everything from what you're talking about. Because it was going from what it was supposed to be into something else, perhaps. That, you know,
well, that's human nature. I think
manipulation.
human nature, unfortunately, and you talk about that 60 thing. You had what was it? The Monterey Pop Festival was fantastic, and then you had what was the one that was Altamont, where it went bad, where the Hells Angels were guarding the stones, and
Stones.
somebody got killed, and you know, you had human nature just gets in the way sometimes of, you know, people want to have a good time, but then, you know, some bad apples spoil the whole bunch, and that's why you need police and military and everything else.
Could be, or it could have been false flag police provocateuring, like at the G20 when they had actually police lighting the car on fire
yeah.
and smashing windows, and
Oh,
it came
wow.
out that they
You
were
think?
provocateurs.
Or
Maybe
the-
they'll disrupt any movement with their own provocateurs.
Well, but again, it's bad apples. Like whether the
True
bad
as
apples
well.
are
Yeah.
on, it doesn't matter what side of the issue. The bad apples could be on either side.
Yeah, they could have been
right?
double agents, Hugh.
Or triple agents.
Yeah. we're not belittling this. We're just having a little fun.
yeah.
Okay.
Mohawk, before we close out. Mohawk, is it?
Yeah, my family's Mohawk.
Is the Mohawk tribe, are they all across, like, different parts of Canada and the States, or is it came from a specific region? Well, all of them, the Iroquois, the Mohawks, and there's different versions within those groups.
Yeah.
I guess tribes within the tribes, I guess.
There's
But-
a large Mohawk nation contingency on the Canadian side of the border,
Yeah.
and on
Yeah,
the
of course.
the U.S. side of the border too.
Right.
Like, I'm just thinking Six Nations. Tyndonega is near Belleville. You've got Akwesasne, which does straddle the New York, Quebec, and Ontario border. You've got Ganasataki, Ganawagi, Wata, a few other nations, but then there's just individual people spread all over the continent, and
It was
and there's other
amazing
reserves
over that
down in
golf
this.
course that they were going to build up in Quebec. This is going back some years, and the tribal groups were blockading that because
was
no
the
way you
Oka.
could do their what?
I think that was the Oka situation.
Yeah, the Oka situation. Then you had these really bright people that were came from all over, from the States. These professors, young professors from that happened to be Native Indian. They came to help represent them in a more conciliatory way. So you got something going here. Let's help you organize it, kind of thing.
Yeah, to
And that
bring
went, you
to
know,
bring
like-
peace.
Yeah.
Here, just a quick analysis. If you remember that Oka crisis, that was Canada's Gulf War, Gulf Course War. They were going to put a
Nice.
golf course
That's
on the
right.
Mohawk burial grounds,
Oh yeah.
and so they had like 25,000 troops deployed around that area, 5,000 visible troops. Now that's really big, and Fort Drum was beefed up just on stateside below. That was Ganasataki, or below Montreal, Quebec was the largest city near that.
Yeah.
Those Mohawk nations, and this is my analysis that they'll create theaters of war like the Iraq War, which was the Gulf War. Iraq War even rhymes with Iroquois, and I thought, well, this is interesting. People are like burning tire fires here to send up distress signals, and all of those images got contained, but dwarfed by oil wells burning. Because when you find, in retrospect, that Saddam Hussein was actually a CIA asset, they can.
Well, that's not even a secret.
Yeah,
That
well,
was
yeah,
actually-
but
that
back
was-
then we didn't know that.
A lot of the
right?
mainstream didn't know, yeah.
So they sent Canadian and U.S. troops right after, chronologically after the Oka crisis, to go liberate Kuwaitis, and then the Iraq War happened. So you've got this whole theater, and I really mean theater of war going on, because they don't want to lose the jewel in their crown, which is North America. Like, because that was an armed standoff, and you don't get that so often, so they like to downplay that. And there wasn't a blip of that on the U.S. news. So when you have sovereign people actually using arms and standing up against the military, that's why I'm kind of like all dressed up camo with all the the patches and stuff like that, the Iroquois flag and the
Is that the purple?
Mohawk
Is
flag.
that the purple? Is the Iroquois?
Yeah, this is the Peace Belt, the
Yeah.
5 original nations Peace Belt with the Tree of Peace in the middle.
Yeah.
And basically, my whole point is that they'll create this whole 9/11 scenario and things like that so that they can beef up stolen homeland security, because they don't even want the general masses here to go, yeah, get up, come on, natives, get off your butt and finally stand up for everything you've lost. And get on board and get under jurisdiction of natives and back natives. They don't want that because they'll lose it. So they got to create, okay, there's Arab terrorists, there's terror cells in Toronto and all this whole, and it's a global thing just to shut down any real revolution, any real fight for freedom. And they got it because they'll shut us down, but they'll say it's Al Qaeda or something. It's interesting in the summer, or
But
actually,
is it sometimes like I hear you, and I think it sounds like you're 90% correct for sure. Like I'm agreeing with, but I'm leaving that 10% possibility that it's not a nice alternative here. That it's just the reason why they took the focus, the media, off what was happening at Oka was because of entertainment. Like they wanted to go to what they thought was the bigger prize, the thing that was going on in Iraq at that time, or
well,
was it? And,
now you find out
that's an
they
entertainment, just
they
strictly to
staged
make,
it.
Oh,
Well, if
Yeah.
Saddam's a CIA agent, and it came out that the Kuwaiti ambassador's daughter was, crying on camera saying that Iraqis were pulling babies out of incubators, and that was all lies that came out. So if they can orchestrate and manipulate everything around that, and even find out that our soldiers were getting Persian Gulf syndrome from the vaccines they were given, there's something crazy going on. Not only are they destroying the environment and killing people on both sides, military and non-military personnel, it's just a big charade of depopulation and maintaining control of the earth. Like, we could debate about this. This is just a thought I had that because of purely by deduction and the chronology of what happened at the time. Even the U.S., Bush Sr. dedicated November, which was right after Oka, to the American Indians. That's to quell any kind of
American
rebellion.
backlash.
Yeah, Native American backlash. Seriously, and it, like I said, it straddles the border.
This definitely, I can see why you were popular here at ThatChannel.com over the years. This is a conversation that can carry on for quite a while.
For sure.
It's, I'm sure it's been on some of the bigger channels like Coast to Coast. George Norrie's interviewed some of the top people from across the states to voice your similar concerns, and then even some inklings in mainstream media. I just hope it's not all true. It's scary. It is. There is a lot to be concerned about here.
Well, I've had little things that happened to me personally while I've been trying to mobilize rock stars and powwow stars and secure the festival site at Six Nations Grand River Territory. One thing that happened in the spring, we booked this native folk singer called Mitch Walking Elk, and I was meeting with the organizers. And that very night, see, this man he's associated with the American Indian movement, and the people I was meeting with, they're part of the Mohawk Warriors Society, or that whole community, right? So it was like two really strong revolutionary groups meeting to have a concert. And that after that night, I watched the news, and Obama was on saying that they killed Osama bin Laden. I was like, wow, here we are. And like on the reserve, there's so much aerial surveillance since the Caledonia uprising that like you can see them. They watch what we're doing, right? So when we're having a big meeting. Oh, and the American Indian movement folk singers are going to come up and sing up here. I thought, wow.
Where was that? Where was this culminating again? Where?
Oh, that concert happened at Six Nations this past spring when
Obama made that
Osama
up.
bin Laden was
killed.
assassinated
Yeah.
by the U.S. forces, and I thought, wow, that's really interesting that they should, make that chess move, right? Just like if you relate it back to what I said, that the Oka crisis and the Iraq War and the Iroquois War or the Canadian Gulf War was like there was a correlation why they would stage that, because they don't want to lose this jewel in their crown, North America. If everyone starts to wake up and realize that we don't have to live this way here, and we start to unite and be free together.
And Mr. bin Laden could have been killed quite a few weeks before.
Or years.
Or years before.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was really interesting. And I thought, yeah, we're on the right path. We're doing something, because that was a knee-jerk reaction for them to beef up. That's 9/11 all over, high security, everything, which I call stolen homeland security. Increased.
All right, Dave. Okay, well, listen, thanks for coming in. It's great to see you. And you are you going to run for mayor again?
I don't know. I'll think about it. I know there's no democracy, but I might do it just to promote the World Peace Festival, Cyber Powwow,
Yeah.
Telethon.
Well,
All right.
But no, seriously, wouldn't it be a better chance to actually had a grip on something as like a counselor if you really wanted to get involved with or you just go for the mayorship and what the heck? And
Well, you've run twice already, right, Dave?
Yeah, I ran for mayor of Toronto twice. Back
but
at
I'm saying, but
2000.
in the ward, like one of the ward guys or one of the counselors, you might actually win. That's what I'm saying. I mean, that's good to make a voice
Yeah,
to
that might
run
be
for
possible.
mayor, but actually, you might surprise yourself and actually win. I don't know. With the mayor, maybe. I don't know. I don't want to say no.
We'll see.
But
I think there's no democracy really. That it's a facade, but we'll see. It can't hurt. I always meet good people when I do that sort of thing. So
there was never funny thing. I did study. Can I finish with this? I studied a little poli-sci. Not that I knew anything, but I remember a professor reminding us, a female, it was a woman, who reminded us, anyone who thinks there was a democracy, think again. We can argue till the cows come home, because what is written as democracy is one thing. To actually show anywhere where there is a democracy, it just ain't so. And then we're talking the worst scenario, where it's the complete antithesis of a democracy when you're talking about like what we have right here in our backyard. But also communism, I don't think there was ever a perfect communist society either. Certainly not in the Soviet Union. It was more a totalitarian thing. Ergo, George Orwell's Animal Farm, giving that impression. Carl, I'm not promoting communism, but I'm just saying both opposite spectrums, we never actually saw it exist because of our human dilemma, I guess. Anyways, that's what I want.
Well, maybe we can achieve true democracy if enough people get together and participate in the World Peace Cyber Powwow. Dave. Now, if people want to help you to do that, how is there any contact, website, email address, something you want to give out for people?
my email is djbigsmoke@hotmail.com.
djbigsmoke@hotmail.com. Well, Dave, I'm looking forward to the World Peace Festival Cyber Powwow, and I wish you all the best with that, and just fantastic to see you here today. So
Thank you.
thanks for coming by. Oh, I should say, before we go, that Kevin Annett?
Yes.
He's in town, and because they're excavating those residential schools out in Brantford.
That's right.
And he's going to be on Real Health tonight at 8 o'clock, right here live here on ThatChannel.
Right on. I was trying to get Kevin to come and re-evict St. James Church. We evicted them a while back, and maybe he'll do that.
Maybe you can come if you're still around, Dave. Maybe you can come back for that show tonight and be on the show.
Right on.
I don't know.
Cool.
We'll talk about it, but that would be, I think it would be great.
Right on.
Okay, Dave. Fantastic. Thanks for coming in.
Yeah, I'll go.
And Dan, thank you for doing the show today.
Okay. Thank you.
And you're coming back on Wednesday for your show.
That's right.
Right? And the rest of you, we'll see you on Monday.
Okay.
Sorry, today's Monday. Tomorrow we'll be back. Tuesday for more Liquid Lunch right here at ThatChannel.com. See you then.
Okay. Goodbye.
night, every morning, into misery are born. Every morning and every night, some are born to sweet delight. Some are born to sweet delight. Some are born to endless night. It's so strange that you don't remember any of your poetry. I don't know anything about poetry. Boy, you're so modest. Do you have tobacco?
We sure don't. Perhaps I could interest you in some beads. Or possibly a blanket.
Blanket.
Long ago, after the Creator first put people on the earth, the Anishinaabe, or original people, strayed from their peaceful ways. They began to argue and fight with one another. Brother turned against brother, and soon the Anishinaabe were killing one another over hunting grounds and other things. Seeing that harmony and respect for all living things no longer existed on earth, the Creator decided to purify the earth. He did this with water. The water came in the form of a great flood. This water fell upon the earth and killed the Anishinaabe people and most of the animals as well. Only Nanabush, the central figure in many of the Anishinaabe oral traditions, was able to survive the flood, along with a few animals and birds who managed to swim and fly. Nanabush floated on a huge log, searching for land. No land was found, as the earth was now covered by the great flood. Nanabush allowed the remaining animals and birds to take turns resting on the log as well. Finally, Nanabush spoke. "I am going to do something," he said. "I am going to swim to the bottom of this water and grab a handful of earth. With this small bit of earth, I believe we can create a new land for us to live on, with the help of the four winds and the Creator." So Nanabush dove into the water and was gone for a long time. Finally he surfaced and told the animals that the water is too deep for him to swim to the bottom. All were silent. The loon spoke up. "I can dive underwater for a long way. That is how I catch my food. I will try to make it to the bottom and return with some earth in my beak." The loon disappeared and was gone for a long time. Surely, thought the others, the loon must have drowned. Then they saw him float to the surface, weak and nearly unconscious. "I couldn't make it. There must be no bottom to this water," he gasped. Then the hell diver came forward and said, "I will try next. Everyone knows I can dive great distances." So the hell diver went under. Again, a very long time passed, and others thought that he had surely drowned. At last he too floated to the surface and was unconscious, and not till he came to could he relate to the others that he too was unable to fetch the earth from the bottom. Many more animals tried, but failed, even the turtle. All failed, and it seemed as though there was no way to get the much-needed earth from the bottom. Then a soft, muffled voice was heard. "I can do it," it spoke softly. At first no one could see who it was that spoke up. Then a little muskrat stepped forward. "I'll try," he repeated. Some of the other, bigger, more powerful animals laughed at the muskrat. Nanabush spoke up. "Only the Creator can place judgment on others. If the muskrat wants to try, he should be allowed to." So Muskrat dove into the water. He was gone much longer than the others who had tried to reach the bottom. After a while, Nanabush and the other animals were certain that the muskrat had given his life trying to reach the bottom. Far below the water's surface, Muskrat had in fact reached the bottom. Very weak from lack of air, he grabbed some earth in his paw, and with all the energy he could muster, began to swim for the surface. One of the animals spotted Muskrat as he floated to the surface. Nanabush pulled him onto the log. "Brothers and sisters," Nanabush said, "Muskrat went too long without air, and he is dead." A song of mourning and praise was heard across the water as Muskrat's spirit passed on to the spirit world. Suddenly, Nanabush exclaimed, "Look, there is something in his paw." Nanabush carefully opened the tiny paw. All the animals gathered close to see what was held so tightly there. Muskrat's paw opened and revealed a small ball of earth. The animals all shouted with joy. Muskrat sacrificed his life so that life on earth could begin anew. Nanabush took the piece of earth from the muskrat's paw. Just then, the turtle swam forward and said, "Use my back to bear the weight of this piece of earth. With the help of the Creator, we can make a new earth." Nanabush put the piece of earth on the turtle's back. Suddenly, the wind blew from each of the four directions. The tiny piece of earth on the turtle's back began to grow. It grew and grew and grew until it formed an island in the water. The island grew larger and larger, but still the turtle bore the weight of the earth on his back. Nanabush and the animals all sang and danced in a widened circle of the growing island. After a while, the four winds ceased to blow and the waters became still. A huge island sat in the middle of the water, and today that island is known as North America. The Ojibwe hold special reverence for the turtle who sacrificed his life and made life possible for the Earth's second people. To this day, the muskrat has been given a good life. No matter that the marshes have been drained and their homes destroyed in the name of progress, the muskrat continues to survive and multiply. The muskrats do their part today in remembering the Great Flood. They build their homes in the shape of the little ball of earth and the island that was formed from it.